Hello everyone, I am Lori with Behavior Education at Spirit Keeper Animal Sanctuary. This is part 6 of our series on troubleshooting target training. And today is Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. In this episode, we are going to talk about what to do if your snake is afraid of the training target. Behaviors that may require troubleshooting are listed here. And we have already talked about what to do if the snake is hiding, if the snake doesn't see the target, if the snake ignores the target, if the snake is out when you're ready to start the training session, but by the time you get the target and the equipment and the reinforcer, the snake is hiding or has retreated. We've talked about what to do if the snake exhibits escape and avoidance behavior. And today we're talking about what to do if the snake is afraid of the target itself. As you can see, we have several more behaviors that we're going to troubleshoot along the way. So if the snake is afraid of the target itself, meaning the snake is not afraid of you, the snake is not afraid of their food, the snake is not afraid of the environment at the time or anything else going on, you are definitely certain that they're not afraid of other stuff and that the snake is only displaying fear, anxiety, and distress at the sight of the target, or the snake is displaying defensive behavior or escape and avoidance behavior only when the target is present, then you're in the right episode because we're going to talk about what to do in that situation. So if you have determined that the snake's not afraid of you or anything else and that they are truly just afraid of that target, whether you're using a buoy target or a disc target or a flat target or a round target, they're just afraid of the target itself, then here are some options to consider for things that you can do to help get the snake through that. First of all, you can just leave the target inside the snake's enclosure and allow them to passively habituate to it over time, over several days, over several weeks, over several months. You take whatever target you eventually want to use for training and you place it in the enclosure and you do nothing else. You just leave it there and you just give the snake time to investigate it as they choose, get used to it on their own, approach and retreat it as much as they need to, and just realize it's nothing to be afraid of. You want to make sure that you place the target in a location within their habitat where it will not interfere with access to resources and that the snake is free to investigate it or free to stay away from it if they choose. It should not be placed in a location where the snake would be forced to interact with it during their normal activities. So you don't want to place it in front of their hide or in front of their water or where their heat source is. You want to put it out of the way where if they're afraid of it and they never ever want to interact with it, they don't have to, and it won't interfere with them drinking or hiding or thermoregulating or doing all of the normal activities that they would normally be doing. Option number 2 is to feed the snake on the target by leaving the target inside of the enclosure and placing the food directly on the target. And you just leave it there for them to approach and take the food from or not. I want to note here that you don't want to not feed the snake because they're afraid of the target. So you can try this, but if ultimately the snake is not taking the food, and then you remove the target and put the food in and the snake then eats the food, you definitely know that because they were afraid of the target and they weren't getting over that passively by the target being left in there with food on it, meaning they were free in their own time to approach and retreat as many times as they needed until they built up the courage and confidence to take the food off the target. If that's not happening, you still want to feed your snake. So after a certain amount of time, which I would say during the course of a day or during the course of a night, so 8 to 12 hours if they haven't taken the food, and you remove the target and then you feed them and they eat, then they're definitely afraid of the target and they weren't getting over it using this method. The other thing you can do is change the context of the whole situation. So that means that you could use a different target. Maybe they're just afraid of that specific target for some reason. So forget about that target, choose one that looks completely different. So if you were using a round ball target, maybe use a flat target. If you were using a flat target, go to a ball target. If you were using a flat target, go to a buoy target. Use something that looks completely different than the target you were using, and you can try to restart the target training process using the new target. You can change the location of the training, and that's part of changing the context. So for example, in this photo on the lower right, this snake had come out of her enclosure and she was exploring an activity station. And I decided to do a target training session with her on the activity station, which was completely different than anything she had done before. And she engaged in the training session and took the reinforcer and was eating on the activity station. So sometimes just changing the environment helps them get over their fear of the target, but that's not always going to work. You can also try a different reinforcer. Maybe if you were using quail, you use a rodent. If you were using a rodent, a mouse, you use a rat, or you use a chick, or you use fish, or a reptile link, or you just change the reinforcer. And sometimes just changing the context, meaning what the reinforcer is, or what the environment is, or a different target completely, can help them to re-engage with the target training process, because everything is different enough that they're not associating that with the old target they were afraid of. You can just take a break from target training completely for a few weeks, and you can come back to it later. Try again after the snake is engaging in other activities like puzzle feeding, station training, or foraging exercises. So for example, in this photo on the lower left, this is one of my corn snakes, Vac LaRouche. He is engaging in station training, and that means I set a station adjacent to his enclosure door, and he comes out on the station and he gets reinforced with food. Or I might leave the food inside of this little station that I've made for him, and he comes out and he gets the food when he's in the station or on the station. That's kind of like targeting the station, which is fine. It's a type of target training that we call station training, meaning they see the station, they know to go to their station, and they get reinforced. But it is so different from an actual training target that we're holding in our hand and we're showing the snake, that oftentimes engaging in this station training activity for a few weeks and then going back to target training and having changed the context of the target training, like maybe by using a different target, the snake re-engages with the activity really well. So if one of these strategies has worked for you and the snake is now engaging with the target, next I would make sure that you have gone through the target training snakes step-by-step playlist. So choosing a target, first steps in target training, and then there is a whole video on how to target train your normal confident snake step-by-step. And there's also a video about how to target train your shy snake step-by-step. So any of the videos in this step-by-step target training snakes playlist, I recommend once your snake is re-engaged with this process. And if you need help choosing a new target, if you're deciding to change to a new target, then I would definitely watch the target training snakes choosing a target video, because I show all sorts of different targets there. Well, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to contact me or leave a comment with your questions. In part 7, we will go over what to do if your snake finds the target aversive. That means they find the target punishing. So they're not necessarily afraid of it. It's very similar to what we just went over, but this is, they're not afraid of it. They find it punishing, aversive, like something bad. And we will talk about what to do if that's the case. And until then, always remember to be kind and love your animals.